Hey there, friends. Today we are going to be making the much requested oil pastel sunset. So I just took a regular piece of paper and folded it in half. So you need your oil pastels, you need a pencil, and to get these nice, super clean edges, I use some tape. This is like a washi tape, which is reusable, like you can pull it off pretty easy. But if you only have regular Scotch tape, you can just kind of touch it a bunch or even put it on fabric to make it a little less sticky so it doesn't rip your paper when you're done. But let's get started. All right, my friends, I've got my oil pastels, I've got my paper. I'm actually going to fold my paper in half. We're gonna really want to fill this with color. So just to make it easier on ourselves, we really only need a half a piece of paper. Now, for this next step, it's totally optional, but I think it looks really nice when you tape off the edges. You want to make sure that you use a tape that's removable if possible, like a masking tape or a washi tape if you have it. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to tape my tape and I'm going to try and put it the same amount all the way around. All right. All right, so now that we have everything taped off, we're gonna go ahead and go in with a pencil. Now this is the only thing we're going to use for pencil because we want to make we're gonna actually do a little mountain scene in our foreground, right? So something right in the front and then our sunset will be behind. So we're gonna just kind of make a jagged mountain range. So I'm gonna start maybe like a third of the way, if we think about it in thirds, the paper, 1, 2, 3 sections, and I'm going to start a third of the way up, and I'm just going to kind of go down, back up a little, down really low in the middle, then up a little, then off to the side. And I want them to end pretty close in size or in height, but not exact, so maybe I'll start this one up a little higher. This is all going to be covered up, so we're not going to worry about it being too perfect. All right. All right, so now we are going to start adding in our color, and we're going to do the black, which is going to be our foreground last because black is so smudgy and, right, we don't want to do that. So we are actually going to start up at the top with our lighter blue and our regular blue. Okay, so with our true blue, we're just going to use the side and do just a very light texture basically, and we don't want it to necessarily be perfect and the same all the way across. There can be some lighter spots and darker spots. Okay, just like that. I would say a good bit of the way, maybe like that. Bring it down just a little more, and then I'm going to go over all of this with my light blue. So I'm going to do one pass with it pretty good pressure, not a ton. And I want to go about that far. Once I go over it once, I'm going to go over it a second time with a little more pressure. Layering them up instead of just going in one time really hard, okay? And this time I'm going to bring it down just ever so slightly, really light again, kind of like we did with that blue at the beginning. Speaking of that blue at the beginning, I'm going to bring that in and just put a little bit more on top in some places. You see that, how we're layering it up? Now, if I just started with this and gone in really dark to begin with, it would have been very harsh and I wouldn't have really been able to like blend it. So that's why we need to do it in layers, right? Layering it up. Okay, one more layer of light blue. Again, go bringing it down lightly. This time I'm really putting in some color. Okay. All right, so I have kind of gone over everything quite a few times. Now I'm really going in smaller strokes and trying to fill in any of those little white areas. The more bumpy your paper, the harder this will be. If you're using like computer paper, this will be way easier. Even mine isn't super bumpy, but it is quite a bit. So once I get down to this area where I was really using a very light hand with my light blue, that's where I'm going to start using my white to blend. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that now. Make sure there's no, oops, see, I've got some pink on it. I wipe that off. Make sure that your white is actually white. See, I had some red on the tip. And we are going to put in a section of white. So I'm going to use this white to blend out that bottom part of my blue. Okay. And then I'm going to just go back in with my blue and make the two meet. All right. Are your hands cramping yet? Because mine are. All right. I think I've gotten it pretty good. From here, once you have that base, like you can put on a couple other darker strokes. I already put some on, but I can do a little more just to show you. Right? You can put on a little bit of dark and then just go over it again, blend it out. Okay, but once we start getting down into this white section, I have a good bit of white. Ooh, I just made a big streak there. Let's blend that out. Okay. Now I'm going to start in with my yellow. That's going to go next. Now I'm going to put down a little bit of yellow that's coming up into the blue and the white. Okay, and I'm going to bring that down pretty much almost to the mountains. Then I'm going to go in with quite a few of these. Okay, I'm going to go in with my peach. What do they call this? Pale orange. I call that peach. And I'm going to do a little bit over my yellow. What I'm doing here is kind of softening it so it's not so bright. If we wanted it to be like a bright daytime, that light yellow would be perfect. But I want to just kind of soften that yellow up a little bit. So I'm going to do a little bit of that pale orange. And I'm even going to do just a smidge down here towards the bottom of some orange. Again, I'm still using the side. And my orange here, I'm going to bring it back down, or bring it on down into where the red's going to be as well. So I'm overlapping some on the yellow and then bringing it down to the red. Kind of making like a swoopy, I don't know why, like a U shape with that. All right, so once I do that, I'm going to go back in with my yellow and start really blending it all on out, smoothing it on out. And I will go over this with white too to smooth it even more. Oop, I had a little blue in there. You always want to check it. Oops. So I don't want to go with this white down into my orange too much. I really just want to use it over the yellow bits because I really want to have nice rich colors down at the base. So once I've gone over the white, I'm going over with my yellow one more time in some places to make it, like I said, a little bit richer yellow. Blend out that line between the white and the yellow really well. Okay, there we go. We're looking good. And then right there at the bottom, we're going to use our red. And I'm going to bring that orange down just a little more maybe as a base. I'm also going to, at the bottom here, put down a little bit of brown. Again, I want my red to be like bright, but I don't want it to be like electric. Okay? Brown and orange down. Now I'm going to really just come in with my red, and I'm going to go ahead and like start my outline of this. We're going to finesse the outline with the black afterwards, and then you know the deal. Let's start filling this in, okay? I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, fill it in, and then we will come back once we get close to this, close to that little blending area. All right, I have brought my red right up to where it was meeting my yellow and my like kind of light orange, and you guys know the deal. I'm gonna go in with some orange and just soften up that line between the red and the yellow. I really did want a lot of this to be true red, like you can see, so this orange section is going to be pretty small. I'm going to go back over the edge with my yellow, right? We always want to blend where the two colors meet with the lightest color, right? So before we were doing white, now we're using yellow. I almost called it lello. All right, just like that. I might bring a little more orange down in here. Okay, just a little bit like that. Make sure all of that red is filled in. It shows so much more than the blue does, I feel like. Although it is kind of looking a little... few more little places I could add. All right, and we are going to move on to our black and finish it up. Come in. This is when you're really going to kind of finesse and really make that line look like what you want it to for the ridge of the mountain. So make sure that you do use a good amount of pressure for this because you want a nice clean line. You don't want it to be all like white and patchy, kind of like that was when I went in kind of loosely. So just make your two oil pastels meet up, your red and your black, just kind of follow that line. And then we're gonna fill this in. I'm gonna pause the video and we'll come back together when it's all done. All right, my friends, this is the best part and why I like to put down the tape, right? So at the very end, with pretty clean hands, make sure you have nice clean hands. We gently pull the tape off. I wish those weren't stuck together. There we go. Right. Ooh, stuck a little bit, but that's okay. I'll just go nice and slow. And look how nice and professional that looks. Ooh, stuck a little bit. That's okay. It's okay. Just do it nice and slow. Even if it pulls off a little bit of the paper, if you go nice and slow, it'll be okay. And look at how lovely that looks. You can always sign your name down here too. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. See you next time.